take you through and practically also interact with you. As I said, he has already maybe met some of you during the research work he did earlier. Please give him all the attention, and also I'm sure I will be willing to get more feedback to you in addition to what he's going to share with you. And so, Mr. Amos, the floor is yours, and please take over from here. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I would like to make one small appeal, but COVID is still there. But you will allow me to put aside my mask so that I can talk to you audibly. I have been introduced as Diego Amos. I'm a consulting economist. And I have been working with UNATCOM for some time on a number of research projects, particularly to do with the culture and the creative industries. I think for the last 18 years, we have been together on this field. I'm here to briefly tell you about the status of film and audiovisual sector. You are the players, but quite often we find that many things are not documented. What you do is not always well known by the policymakers who are supposed to support our industry. And this is not only for the film and the audiovisual media, but the entire culture and creative industries. So we have always labored to collect some information to see that the sector is well understood and we can advocate for the support of the industry. Uganda National Commission for UNESCO has organized this meeting as an awareness meeting. So whatever I will be saying will be sort of information exchange and awareness. I know you are the industry experts, so you know many of these things that we are talking about. Very briefly, I'm going to talk about things that are based on recent studies. Some of the studies have been done by Uganda National Commission for UNESCO and the Ministry of Gender. Of recent, the Embassy of France has also done a study in the film sector. And the European Union also has had some baselines on the film and audiovisual sector in Uganda. And these have been both qualitative and quantitative. And they give us a descriptive evidence of how the industry looks like. From the historical perspective, I think Mukavya knows this history of the film industry, because Mukavya is someone we have listened to for many, many years. And but I'm surprised I've not seen some many faces I see in the film industry on the TV, whether they are part of your firms or companies, but I've not seen. Maybe they are on the way coming. I usually see a lot of people on the TVs, but I don't see them participating in our workshops. And this is a very big challenge for our industry. If you call for a workshop for coffee sector, you see so many people. When you call for film and the culture, you don't see them. And yet we complain that our industry is marginalized many times. So if we are not participating effectively, then our industry will not grow faster. From the historical perspective, film industry dates back in 1893. And you all know that Uganda became a British protectorate in 1894. So film was used by colonialists during the conquest of Africa, and Uganda was not an exception. So the first film was produced in Uganda towards the time when Uganda was to be declared a British protectorate. And real modern film work started around 1960s with the first film called the Kayai film, a film by the Kayai film producers. Mkabia, do you know this? The Kayai film producers? Okay. And the political turmoil in Uganda that happened in 1970s, in one way or the other, disrupted the film industry. But also, it gave an opportunity for some of the films that we came to see of recent. For instance, the film which you call The Last King of Scotland, what was it reflecting? The political history of Uganda at around the 1970s. So it also offered an opportunity for some of the films to be produced. We saw film development again in the 1980s with the release of Obwavu Musoro by the Cheswa Group. And around 1980s and early 1990s, we saw the popular That's Life Matu by the famous name Dr. Bosa. And I think you all know this, and the Bibao series, which dominated our media waves. Thereafter, we saw the emergence of China Uganda, which is still growing today. In 2005, by the film which was produced by Haji Ashraf Semogere, and this film was called Feeling Struggle. I think you know this. Semogere has been in the newspapers of recent talking about the release of this film. Precisely, film in Uganda and Africa is a product of colonization. I think you agree with me on this. Mukabia, do you agree with me on this? That it is the colonial influence that led to the development of film, because missionaries used film to preach, to indoctrinate, and to influence the thinking of people. And that's why we call it the potent organ of colonization, by one scholar from West Africa who in 1996 called it a potent organ of colonization. But of recent, many films have begun to flood the Ugandan market. The international films are here. The Nigerian film industry has continued to dominate our media waves. And in 2013, we saw much interest in the film industry when Uganda Communications Commission drafted and produced an act to regulate the industry. And film and audiovisual media is part of the broader culture and creative industries, which account for over 7% of the world gross domestic product. Gross domestic product, I mean all world goods and services produced. So film and audiovisual media are part of that culture sector that contributes to that 7%. And of recent, we have learned that culture and creative industries in Uganda contribute around 3%. If you know the GDP of Uganda, you calculate 3% and you see how much this is. The current status of our film and audiovisual sector. We all know that our film sector is growing very fast, but it is still very young. If you compare it with, say, the Nigerian film industry, the Bollywood industry, the Hollywood, and others, it is still a very small, a very young industry, but with very high potential. Recent studies have indicated that much of the film work is concentrated in central Uganda. and particularly Kampala Metropolitan District. This talks about recovering Wakiso, Mukono, Entebbe. That is where much of the film work is happening in Uganda. And this is research evidence. And also 6 out of every 10 of the film producers and actors are youth. How many of us here are youth? Can we show our hands? Who are still in the category of, I'm not a youth. Who are still in the category of the youth? Can we see the hands? You're still young. Why are you fearing? Isn't it? So they are the majority in numbers, and women participation is still relatively small. If you see, for instance, from this audience, we can say we have about 6 females and more males. So the countrywide survey has shown that 24% of the film practitioners are female. And some films have also made some success in the global market. Films produced here in Uganda have made success in the global market. For instance, on Africa Magic and to Netflix. And I've given some examples: The Fate, The City Murder, The Girl in Yellow Jumper. You know these films. And we have also had some success on the global media channels, the BBC, CNN, Al Jazeera, and some of the examples of the films that have made success on those media channels include Who Killed Captain Alex, The 27 Guns, The Queen of Katwe, Escape from Uganda, The Last King of Scotland, and so forth. Film festivals are gradually becoming a norm with increasing foreign participation in Uganda here. And we are saying that there are very few film schools, but struggling to stand. I think you can talk about a handful, about 3 or 4, and they are struggling to survive or to stand and provide the needed skills that we are talking about. I heard Daniel saying, many of you have so many, you're a producer, you're a director, you are a cinematographer, you are, and I think this is very good, because the current norm, we are calling it phenographs, that you must be talented if you are to remain relevant in this industry. There has been recent estimates on the number of films distributed in Uganda, and the Federation has indicated that about 1,200 films were distributed in Uganda in 2019. And the figures could be much higher than this, but this is the most recent evidence we have. Policy and legal framework. Every industry must be regulated, and every industry must be governed by a policy-enabling environment. On the policy framework, I'm happy to see that we have a commission, Director Juliana from the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development, which is the policy institution for governing culture and creative industries, where film belong. And I'm happy to learn that the culture policy has been revised, and it is taking into consideration the broad and the diversity of our culture and creative industries, and it also recognizes the key institutions that are taking part in promoting and regulating the culture sector. We have the national film, we have an overdue, Madam Commissioner, I have said we have an overdue national film policy. I have had for about 5 years a draft policy. I don't know whether we have a latest final policy or it's still a draft policy. We have a national intellectual property policy, which was produced in 2019. And we also have some international instruments we have been told about the Convention of 2005, which is particularly our reason of being here today. But we also have the Rome Convention, and we have also the World Intellectual Property Organization, Copyright Treaty. All these are instruments that promote and protect the works of the producers, the creators, and so forth. Then on the legal instruments, we also have the Copyrights and Neighboring Rights Act. We have the Stage Play and Entertainment Act. But we are saying this is quite obsolete. It is a quite very old instrument. 1928 is very far. And we have been appealing to government to review or repeal these policies, these laws. Then there is the Uganda Communications Act of 2013, which we have talked about, and the various sections that it covers, including the setting of standards and enforcement of local content. Daniel talked about issues to do with the distortion, the derogatory language that comes into our film and cinemas. And I think some of these things feature under these laws. The kind of enterprises that we are running in film, there is high levels of informality. There are many players in the film industry, but if you ask how many of you are registered, you find there are very few bankable enterprises. With bankable enterprise, I mean you have a registration certificate or an incorporation certificate, you have an office, you have a license, and you can present a request to a financial institution to fund your project. These are bankable enterprises. So recent studies indicated that about 51% of the film players are formally registered. The rest, 48%, are informal. There are so many, but informal. Do you agree with me on this? And UNATCOM study of 2021 also revealed that 43% of enterprises, there are, UNATCOM study of 2021 revealed that about 43% of enterprises in the sector focus on film production, and 31 run film halls where films are shown and whatnot. And UFMI estimated that we have already talked about this. Kampala City alone has over 800 film halls, film and cinema halls. And if you look at how many people go to these films, there are so many sources of revenue for many people. There was a study which was done by UNATCOM in 2009-2010, and this study revealed that countrywide there are around 3,200 film halls in the country. And we used this figure to project the revenue generated from these film halls. We found that at least these film halls run 3 sessions. There is a mid-morning session, there is an afternoon session, there is an evening session. And when you estimate a number of people that go into these film halls, you see that there is a lot of money turned by these film halls, which is not recorded money, which is not money known by government or known by the sector leaders in the film industry. And they tend to marginalize the film, saying how much money comes from here. Yet there is a substantial amount of money being generated there. Uganda Tourism Board has indicated that film is a key facet of the promotional mechanisms for Uganda's tourism industry, and they are using films and documentaries to promote Uganda on the international scene. But there has been many questions. To what extent are Uganda's film actors participating in those international film projects? We have had UTB promoting Uganda's beauty on CNN. How many of you participated in this project? Anyone? But you know, Uganda spent close to $1 million into such kind of projects. So there is a need for promoting local content in anything that goes outside. Youth remain the main market. I think you believe that youth are the main consumers of the films. And there is generally a lack of a well-organized distribution structure for our film industry, in addition to weak collective management organizations. What are the working conditions in the film sector? And I think this resonates with your own experience. We are looking at the employment categories. Recent evidence has shown that 42% of the people that work in the film industry are casual or informal workers. And 12% work as freelancers, and only 10% work as full-time employed people with contracts. So there's a very small percent of the people who are working formally in the film industry. And this has an impact on the Sustainable Development Goals. Decent employment. There is no decent employment where you have no contract. It is subject to abuse. There is no decent employment where you are just casual. There is no decent employment where you are not sure of whether you are going to earn a salary or not, or to earn any form of income. And in terms of remuneration, this is the nature of our film industry. Those who are paid the salary constitute around 12, who are paid an allowance constitute around 25%. And those who are paid a wage, you know what we call a wage. You come today, you are paid something for the hours you have worked for or the minutes you have been there. They are 22%. There is also 19% who are paid a commission. And those who say earn a salary are around 18.1%. So you can see how informal and indecent our sector still is. And those who get both the salary and an allowance are around 15.4%. So a substantial part of the players are still not sure of surviving in the industry. And this is a recent study done by the French Embassy. Revenue earnings. This is a study done in 2021, and it categorized the enterprises in the film industry in the bracket of revenue annually. We looked at those who are earning between 1 million to 5 million in a year, and as far as those who don't even know what they earn. Isn't it? I am sure there are many who don't know what they earn in a year, but they are running an enterprise. So you can see that there is a substantial number of people or enterprises who say that they are earning between 1 to 5 million. And this is very small income. And the majority fall between 10 to 20 million, which represents around 36.7%. But you can see there are those who really make money. 50 million, 12.5% indicate that they make that money. And those who even don't know what they earn also represent around 7.14%. So what do you think those are? Those who don't know what? They could be making more money, but they are not registered. They don't have any books of account, they don't have any records, or they don't want to reveal their income. So it could be either side. It could be positive or negative. But substantially, you can see there's a lot of mixture of what people earn across the industry. Because first of all, you don't have specific rates that you charge. You don't have specific costs that you incur. Each one has his own way of setting his costs. Employment opportunities. Many of your enterprises employ between 1 to 5 persons. And this is what we call small and medium enterprises in our national laws. When we are talking about SMEs, then majority of the film industries are in, film enterprises are in SME category. And I'm appealing to government that whenever there is funds for SMEs, the film sector should also be looked at, because they are SMEs, majority of them. Markets. Where do you sell your film output, your audiovisual services? Recent study by UNATCOM indicated that a substantial part of your output is consumed locally. That is why we have the 40%. Very few of your films go outside Uganda. And at worst, this local also means the geographical locality. If you are in Uganda, in central Uganda, your film is sold within the districts around you. If I go to northern Uganda, probably will not see your film. If I go to western Uganda, probably will not see your film. So you are still localized, and you have done less effort towards going beyond your localities. The other market, which is quite significant, is other creative industries. You produce a film for another sister enterprise. That is one of the other market. The other important market is NGOs who hire for you to produce film documentaries and so forth. And a few other, as you can see, promotional companies that have, he has done so much for promotional companies. I have seen him many times. And some educative movies on the urban life, isn't it? Yes. Revenues. Revenues earned from export of film and audiovisual services. How many of you have exported your services? Exporting meaning selling to Kenya, selling to Nigeria, selling to South Africa. You have exported? You have exported? If you look at our chart, 78.8% have never exported their services. They have never earned foreign exchange. But if you compare this with how much we pay for the Nigerian movies, you see the level of export that is happening by the Nigerian. The way we consume their movies is not the way they consume our movies. So we have not done much to internationalize our services. When you look at revenue earnings, enterprises that said they have exported somehow are those you see, those who earn 6 to 25% of their revenues. They are like 4%. Between 26 to 50% of their revenues from exports, like 5%. Those who say a substantial, that is 76 to 100% of their revenues export, represent 1%. So you have seen here, 2 people said they have exported. This is why we have, say, something like 1%. Business performance in the last year. Probably you can share your own experience. How did you fare between 2000 and 2020 and 2021? What happened? During COVID time, what happened? Did you remain succeeding? Did you do more business?
No.
How many of you grew during that period? Who said my revenues increased? Did they increase?
My mileage increased.
Anyone? Who said revenues declined? His revenues increased, right?
Online, yes.
Online. How many say declined? How many say remained the same? At least you should all have a position. You give me your hands. How many said business declined? This one didn't listen to me. How many? What happened to your business during COVID? Nothing happened. So this is actually what the recent study told us. Business stayed the same, 7%, 7.2%. There was growth and sales increased about 25%. Those who said business declined, 64%. Majority business declined. And those who don't know what happened, they were also there. You can imagine those who don't know what happened. Skills and education in the film sector. A lot of research has shown us that, has revealed that film happens naturally in Uganda. It's natural. It happens naturally. There is no policy. There is no specialized skills training, but people are very good. They are talented. Do you believe so? People are just talented. And we are saying, I think with the cutting edge competition, you can't just remain naturally. You must acquire some skills and you must gain some more exposure. MultiChoice has been doing some sort of training on this previously. So our recent study indicated that there are people with education in the film industry. But if you talk about those who have acquired specialized skills, they represent around 37.2%. Those who say, I have specialized skills in a specific segment of the film industry. And those who don't have any, they are the majority, 62.7%. And when you look at those who have education, they have acquired some educations, a degree, diploma, certificate. There are very many, but they lack specific specialized skills in film. So if we are to look at enhancing our industry, we must also look at this side of specialized skills. It is not enough to go to Makerere and get a degree in arts and start film acting. It's not enough. Because there are this area that you must address. And I think we even have very few institutions that provide degrees and diplomas in film and audiovisual. The type of films that we produce. You see the wrong bar. Much of the films that we produce is local. And this explains why our consumption is local markets. There are those who produce international films, international in the sense that the language can be picked internationally by other people. If you act a film in Uganda, for instance, what do you expect? That your consumers will be those who can listen and understand Uganda. Those who can't understand Uganda will not consume it. If you produce a film which is culturally a Chiganda film, but in English, it will be consumed internationally. It is a Chiganda culture film, but the language you have used is English. So that's what the Nigerians are doing. When you see their movies, it is the Nigerian culture, but they are in English. So we consume them easily to appreciate their culture, diversity, and so forth. But those who are producing both local and international are also a significant number, over 39%. So all these have an impact in our industry. Film festivals. I think we are all aware of the annual film festival in Uganda, but it is surprising that majority have never participated in this festival. And there is a lot to learn in this festival. First of all, it is a source of inspiration. It is a platform for learning new issues. It is a platform for networking, even a platform where you can know where to get resources to support your film projects. But 66% of Ugandans have never participated in the film festival. I don't know whether it is because of costs, whether it is because it happens in Kampala, not anywhere in Uganda. This is an issue that we can study. About 33% have participated in the film festival. How many of you here have participated in the festival? Okay, it's good. What are the challenges that you face? We even ranked the challenges to see what do people say. One of the most important issues raised by the stakeholders is the lack of funding of film projects. And I think this is an issue that we need to discuss and understand. Why is your film not funded? Why are your film projects not getting the resources that can propel the film to a higher level? One is that a film to be funded must be appealing. And it must resonate with some issue of interest. It's like a project proposal, isn't it? You must interest the one who can fund the project, the film project. And to me, I tend to think that every film can be funded because it touches on the issue of society, it touches on the issue of interest to the public, and it touches on the issues that have stakeholder interests. Why wouldn't it be funded? It would not be funded because you, the promoter, you are not bankable. You have a very good film, but you don't have a registered company. That means you can't offer your proposal to a funder. You have a film project, but you can't put a proposal forward to be funded. Uganda National Commission for UNESCO usually announces the funds by Uganda. Daniel, these funds are run every year. International Funds for Cultural Diversity. And they call for proposals for funding, where they give around 100,000 euros every year. They are US dollars. But we usually don't see, I've participated in vetting these proposals, but we don't see fundable projects. We don't see, I think even the call for proposals is already out. It has ended. Is there any one of you who applied? Maybe you are not aware of it. Today I have said it, and Daniel should say more about it. This money comes every year, and it's a competition money. You get the money and fund your film project. And many NGOs that intervene in different areas of social development also fund different projects. So lack of funding is a major problem according to stakeholders, and I think you agree with this. The second is that you are complaining about inadequate government support, probably in terms of infrastructure support and so forth. Then we are also talking about piracy. But piracy, we are saying that even the film actors are the ones promoting piracy because they are the ones giving out their projects freely, or they are the ones copying the projects of others. Then we're also talking about weak organizations. There are many associations, probably with no binding commitments. And then some regulatory constraints. Madam Director, this issue keeps coming up. Where should film be? Should it be in UCC, or it should be in the Ministry of Gender? It remains a question up to date. And we think stakeholders should raise a voice and this issue of controversy be resolved. There are many national actors that support the industry. The Ministry of Gender is your mother ministry, and it is the one that promotes policy. It is the one that advocates for the industry before government. And and in the budget framework, they're the ones who push the issues that touch the culture and creative industry. The Ministry of ICT is the one that regulates the use of ICT. The Uganda Bureau of Statistics is supposed to collect information of this nature to inform policymakers. It recently started doing this, but I think much needs to be done. The Uganda Police is supposed to enforce some kind of laws and on infringements of copyrights and so forth. Then Uganda Investment Authority has an incentive framework on film. If you are importing equipment on film, there should be incentives like free taxation and so forth and so on. You should not import equipment and then start paying import duty. The Ministry of Education is also supposed to promote education in the film sector. We have other supporting institutions, Uganda Communications Commission, Uganda Registration Services Bureau. And at this time, I would like to appeal to you that whenever you go to register your business, don't allow UPRS to register you as general. There is this tendency. You have come, you have a business, you want to register it, you say, film, they say, that is general. Say, please, this is not general. This is film. Whenever we are looking for information, we should find film. We should not find you as general. They know coffee, they know cotton, and these things, they call them general. And local governments and the Uganda National Commission for UNESCO, which acts as a liaison organization between the government agencies and UNESCO in promoting. There are other agencies that the Uganda National Culture Forum, Uganda National Culture Center. Here we are. If you are premiering your film, Mr. Edie, is a space free or at a cost? Do we charge here when people are premiering their films? Yes, but at least it's a minimal cost for sustaining the facility. It is not as bad as when you go to a hotel to hire a venue. Then the Uganda Culture Forum, I don't know whether you are members of the Uganda Culture Forum, to push the agenda of the film and audiovisual sector. The Uganda Reproduction Rights Organization, and then the Uganda Federation of Movie Industry. All these institutions are there to support you. I think I talked about the level of formalization, but why I brought this slide is to compare other segments in the industry. For instance, music and film tend to be closer to each other. If you look at the film sector vis-a-vis music, how many are registered and how many are not registered? We said in film, 51% are not registered, while 48% are registered. In music, 29% are registered. Mukabe, you're a musician. Almost all your stakeholders are informal. Their future is not sure in the film, in the music industry. 70% are there. This year is on TV. Next year is a faded musician. So that level of informality keeps killing the talent and the initiatives that young people do in the industry. New trends. There are new trends, and I would like us to understand these new trends. There is a surge in demand for online streaming, and this became very pronounced during COVID-19, and those who quickly picked up this remained making money. It's no more to think about halls and venues and so forth. Online streaming is very important today. We have had Uganda films now featuring in platforms like Watify, I think you know this, the Paramagic and the Afro Mobile. We have had more investment and innovation now going into high content production for the online market, because that is where money is coming from, as opposed to film halls and theaters. Currently, we see, now, previously it was very difficult for you to produce your film, market it, and promote it because you have to look for an audience. But now, you can produce your film and sell it to all of us because now all of us have now gone online. We are now settled online to read, to see your movies, to see on social media, and so forth. Then there is an evolving form which we call the TikTok, which has underscored the speed and imagination at which the changes are happening in the industry. And I think you all know this. The world is flooded with content, but now the issue is on quality content. What goes there is quality content. What we see and look for is quality. You must now focus on quality to remain competitive. This one I've already talked about it. Daniel, you said people are supposed to be specialized, but they have so many skills. But we are saying now this is the norm. And the terminology we use is hyphenate. That you must be a cinematographer, you must be a director, you must be a producer, you must be a screenwriter to sustain the career. If you are just an actor alone, you are gone. If you are just a director alone, you are gone. You must be hyphenate. And that's why you had people giving you the talented areas they are in. And that is the trend, and you must increase your focus on that trend. Problems, we have already talked about them, but I was comparing the music and film, what they say about these problems because of being closely related. And you can see that both music and film still complain about financial constraints as a major problem. On the cost of doing business in the film industry, recent research has shown that to produce a good film, you need around 1,000 to 5,000 US dollars. Is it true? $1,000 means around 3.6 million shillings. Can you produce a good film in this? How many do agree? Quite a number. But how many do agree that it requires 1 million US dollars? Do you agree? What kind of film comes with 1,000 US dollars? 1 million US dollars, rather. Because I interacted with a number of stakeholders and said, we actually need 1 million US dollars. I said, have you produced any? So I think it is, if our sector is to be very successful, we need to be ambitious but also realistic. Because one of the successful film house, the Wakariwood, is producing one of the low-cost action movies in Uganda. And today, they have been invited to represent the whole of Uganda's film industry at a film festival in Germany. I think you have seen this in the media. And they produce films as low as 200 US dollars. And these are successful films. So, when we are talking about the cost of doing business, we need to strike a balance between ambition and realistic business. While we agree that there can be an impactful movie, a lifetime impactful movie for 1 million US dollars or even a 2. But we also need to appreciate that even when I have 3.5 million, I can make an impact on the movie industry. Do we agree?
Yes.
Yes. Some experienced film producers have said that if there is a multi-talented film industry, 5,000, 10,000 can produce a successful film project, which can impact on the market. And I'm saying this so that whenever you are budgeting, you see what is realistic Because when you send a proposal to a funder and they say $1 million, they say, give me 2 successful projects you have produced using $1 million, then you don't have it. But when you say 5,000, it is possible to get this project, because they usually ask you a past projects. There should be some evidence of realistic work. Then most of the producers don't know about quality accreditation. I have seen international movies from Hollywood, but when a movie is opening, they say, we are ISO certified. Have you seen this? When the movie is opening, on the opening screen, we are ISO certified, we are vetted by this. But here when you ask the movie people, the film industry, are you certified? They said, what is certified? Are you quality accredited? What is quality accredited? So this goes back to what Daniel was telling us, that what we produce, do we have vetting mechanism? Do we accredit? Do we review? Do we peer review this work? So that the regulatory, the meaning kind of language gets out, isn't it? Because Daniel gave us an example of where we get stereotypes on communities. If you say, you produce a film to show that Batoro women are loose, the film will be on the airwaves. Our local media houses will not even see that you are using a demeaning message in your film. They will air it out. But you are demeaning the other culture without understanding. Understanding the culture diversity. In sociology, they call it ethnocentrism, demeaning the other community. So that's how quality standards can evolve in our industry. And this should be very important, and I think that's the reason why this training has been organized. Local content, I think we appreciate that there has been a trend towards improving our local film and audiovisual services on our local channels. And recent studies have indicated that at least our television stations are now at 45, from previous 5-10 to around 45 now. And the trend is positive. And this is much appreciated. I think this is all I had to share with you, so that you can understand the film industry. I know you know more. I don't know whether I can entertain some questions now or later.
Let's give him a more I think you can have very quick remarks, but we are going for but I think he also has other commitments, so we can allow this. That's the please, you are free now. Let's start with the general questions. Anybody has any general questions? What he has presented? If there are no general questions, very specific questions? Yes. You can again mention your name and then where you are.
Thank you, sir. I'm Iga Conrad from Conrad Movies and Powerwood, Uganda. I have different questions to share with you, sir. First of all, my first question is, the government of Uganda is looking at our sector as an ignored child, but expecting a lot of returns from that child. So take an example. We as producers, we strive to excel from different avenues. Say, most of us here, we make films and look for different markets, say Power Magic and other avenues. But it is totally shaming to see our government overcharging those movies out of our sweats, you make a film for $1,000 and almost 500 Ugandan shillings is taken away by the government without doing anything in our movies. It's total shaming, and I request the government to look for other avenues where you can get money to help us in making money than overcharging us out of nothing. So it's my call or request to you, the Minister of Gender, UNESCO, and others, to tell the government of Uganda to stop that habit of overcharging us out of nothing, out of their effort. Yes, next. Let's try to help the industry by giving us tax exemption. It's attached on the other point, but I call upon tax exemption, because you find an Indian here or other people from different states tax-free from whichever they're doing. But for us, we overcharge, yet we are starving to make it worldwide, to make it successful, to make it good. Yes, copyright, about copyright issues. The government is like a barking dog. Copyright here in Uganda is just theoretical. When we talk about copyright, our movies are pirated by different people, but the government is just there talking about it, doing nothing, and it's not copying from other countries, say Ghana and Nigeria, because you find Ghana and Nigeria, what they normally do to stop this copyright piracy. They overcharge, they tighten the policies for the foreign movies to access in their countries. So, yes. Okay.
Thank you very much. Please try to give the point, not elaborate on it. Just raise the point.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tindiewa Hamos.
Call me Amos.
I really appreciate the research taken to come up with such a beautiful document. I'm quite sure that whatever you researched, it is 100%, at least, or it is at least 90% true in your research done. To my concern, I'll not preempt the other speakers, but let me first concentrate on the document. I appreciate the fact that everything pointed out is really true. From the 1893 history up to 2022, it is very valid and beautiful. But my concern would be this research done about the industry. Is it an individual research you did on the industry, and is it a government research done on the industry, or is an individual research done? And if it's an individual research done, where do you think you're going to table that document? Because as in the industry, we know what is really happening. And I don't think that document is really meant for us, because we actually know, and whatever you've hinted is true. And as we reach a point whereby we now don't know what to do about. No. My point is, let that document go to the right table, whereby somebody has an impact to change a few things than because us at least we know what is really happening in the industry, so we need somebody to enact, to do something about that research. But I really appreciate. Thank you.
I thought we are making mistakes. All of you, you are not. So,
Thank you, Mr. Amos, for the wonderful presentation. I learned a lot. Now from...
because maybe some of the issues you want to then we get another round.
Yes, my name is Sam again, Samson. From your study, which I actually enjoyed so much, the status of film industry in Uganda. There's this part I did not see in your study, and that is collaboration. Collaboration was not mentioned in your study, and I believe that collaboration is very important in pushing an industry forward. So I don't know, maybe that was an honest omission, or it was intentional or what. Thank you.
I didn't hear you well. Collaboration?
Yes. I was talking about collaboration. In the study that you presented, I did not see anywhere you mentioned status on collaboration. So I wanted to know, yes, with collaboration with others. For example, collaboration between international collaborations, and so especially international collaboration, as it is done in music industry.
Yes.
So I just wanted to find out. Thank you.
I think you have had
Sorry to get back on the floor.
It's okay.
But my question was lastly on that last table, whereby you realized that there is some development in, some improvement in content consumption by local stations. My question is, yes, we are seeing the percentages drawn from most of the broadcasters, but have you taken research that these people, they are actually broadcasting these movies on a free kind of an environment, or do they actually pay?
Repeat your question.
Are they the broadcasters
broadcasting free or at a
really are they really paying for that content that they are showing, or it is free?
We have, I don't know. Because now if we get you now, we'll not come back for a second round. Okay, anyways, you are
Thank you so much, Mr. Amos. Yes, it is. I'm so grateful for the presentation. I'm only wondering if we shall have an opportunity to have the soft copies. My only concern was about the new trends of consumption. Yeah, I think it's the only element that I saw. Afromobile has not yet adopted does not distribute movies. In fact, we tried to supply them with content, but their app couldn't sustain them. But I believe going digital, there is a new platform, Chibanda Express, for MTN Uganda, a project that was also birthed by UNESCO. I think it is something that is good to note. It has some good statistics that could be very, very important to add on this research. But as of now, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
one soft copy of the other thing, then he's asking another question. Okay.
I request that we respond officially open.
I will use this.
Oh, you have that one, okay. Yours.
Thank you, participants, for the questions. The first one was from Mr. Conrad, and he was raising a flag of high taxes from government, and he was calling for exemptions. First of all, I'm not a government official. That's what I want to clarify. I'm a private businessman, and I'm a private consultant. And all these research studies I'm presenting are researches of government institutions. The Ministry of Gender, the director is here, Madame Juliana, UNESCO, Uganda National Commission for UNESCO is a government entity. These are their researches. I only participated as an expert in the researches. And even the research done by the French embassy was done because of cooperation with the government of Uganda. The director, Madame Juliana, is a stakeholder on that committee that commissioned that study. So all these are researches of government. And they did them with the sole purpose of trying to influence policy and trying to change things. On the issue of taxation, I don't know whether it is possible to qualify it as unfair taxation, because I don't know the actual percentages. But of course, as a businessman, I also, the other side, complain of high tax. So we are calling upon our government technocrats to look into issues that can enhance exemptions to grow our infant industry. First of all, I told you that the government developed an incentive framework for the film industry at Uganda Investment Authority. If you go there, they give you a list of incentives and exemptions that are there for the film industry. So take effort either to look for it online on their website or to pick a copy so that you can see areas where you are exempted. Sometimes you may even pay tax which you are not even supposed to pay. This happens many times. I import goods, but when you meet a customs officer, he can levy you a tax where you have ignorance. But where you are aware, information is very key. The copyright issue, I think government is doing its best to implement the copyright law, and there has been some efforts towards sensitizing stakeholders on the copyright, and even building the institutions. Even we have now copyright police within the police network, but I think the stakeholders are saying we need more to be done. We can't just talk about copyright law. We can't theorize the need. We must have it move. And the government officials are listening to that. Probably the commissioner will talk about this. The president of the Film Guild talked about research. I think I've answered that. These are not individual research. These are research commissioned by government entities and development cooperation agencies. For instance, the French embassy is already supporting different areas of the film sector, and the European Union is also doing a lot with the Ministry of Gender in the area of film. There are recent reports that have been done on the film sector. I think even I saw a number of people from your guild participating in a project done by the European Union. And on the issue of these issues have been tabled several times. The director has moved this into the National Development Plan. At least I'm privy to what the Ministry of Gender has submitted in the National Development Plan to cooperate for the culture sector. And I think film is a key aspect of that. Content being paid for, I think the media houses have a program of buying content from the producers. And in most cases, it comes from your side. If you take an example of music, because of the informalities in our music industry, when a person produces a music video, you find himself cutting the CD and distributing it for free to be run. You see this? In that case, he cannot even be paid for. He's the one who's looking for to promote himself. He's the one who goes downtown to look for those who informally cut CDs to give music, because he wants to be aired in some TVs. He starts paying a little money to TV DJs and to air his music. Instead of him earning, he's the one spending. Probably it may be also happening in the film industry. You're struggling to have your content, but if this marketing structure is well organized and the government enforces strongly on local content, then we'll find them buying this content and paying for it. So it comes now back to the enforcement of regulations. Collaboration. Our study covered international collaboration, and our major interest was to see whether Ugandans have interest for international collaboration projects. Although it didn't come in this slide, the detailed study has it that at least 78% of Ugandans have interest in international collaboration. They have shown interest, but currently international collaboration stands at around 12%. But the government has done all that is possible to promote international collaboration by signing cooperation agreements. The Madam Director will tell you about some of the cooperation the government of Uganda has with, say, countries like China, the European Union, where you can do now collaboration projects and promote exchange of knowledge. So, Mr. Bwanika, thank you for the information you have given us, but I think that platform is now promoting more of the music videos than the films themselves. Yes, we are good to have learned from you the Chibanda Express, and I think it adds into our information. I thank you so much. We shall share this slide on your emails.
Thank you very much, our facilitator. Please, let's give him the last round of applause. Okay. Yeah, now, as I told you, I think many of you came after we did introductions here, but we'll know you along the way. Because time is against us, and I see many of us came a bit late, and yet from the program, I think there's a lot to be covered. Now, from the discussion and from the program you have seen, we should have started right from the beginning with the opening remarks and official speech. From both the Secretary General of the National Commission for UNESCO and then the director from the Ministry of Gender. I want to give the apology of the Secretary General. He has not been able to make it. He's still in another meeting. And so we'll reserve a space somewhere along the way when she will come and give her remarks. But it's very important that we listen to the chief guest, who is from the ministry that Mr. Amos has been referring to, responsible for policy, and also hosts the issues to do with what our industry is about. Some of the issues you have raised directly go there. And it's also, I think, a good arrangement, although it was not intended, but it is good that it has come, the issues have come before she has talked, that she might be able to address some of them in her talks. She's somebody who has been in this for a very long time, and all the issues you are raising are not new to her. Allow me, therefore, at this juncture, ladies and gentlemen, to invite the director, who is also representing the ministry in this. But as she's coming on board to talk, we also missed the opportunity to be invited here by the host. You know, the Kiswahili have this good arrangement that before you enter, you say something like Kodi. You know Kodi? I mean, you knock on the door before you enter. I think we all came here and found ourselves being shown seats, and we sat here, and that in the African way is not proper. So I would first invite the host and the chief executive of this place to officially welcome us, invite us, and then I will also ask him to use the chance now to welcome the chief guest to address us and officially declare our training, our induction, our whatever orientation officially open. So let me now invite Mr. Ojedev Francis, who is the director of this place, to come and address you. You're most welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. With your permission, I would like to remove my mask for a minute. Thank you very much. Our chief guest, the director, Juliana, the Deputy Secretary General UNATCOM, who has just spoken, the head of the culture department in UNATCOM, my colleague, my friend, Mr. Kawesi, my friends here, the film producers. I can see a few of the UNCC staff here. I want to recognize all of you. The press that is available, ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you to Uganda National Cultural Center and particularly National Theatre for this one-day workshop. I am quite happy that today we are looking at a training on film, and we are training film producers on how to protect and promote Uganda's cultural diversity in the film and audio visual sector. I'm happy that this is being done because, first of all, you will agree with me that as an institution, we are responsible for the aspects of culture. And we work with you very closely. And you realize that in terms of culture, it has very many domains. It has actually 8 domains. And out of the 8 domains, one of the key domains of the 8 is film. And therefore, it's not a mistake that you're here today. It is important that you're here, and we are happy that you're here. And we want to see this sector, the film sector, grow and become actually one of the biggest exporters in this economy. Some of you know that, and I'm sure your leaders know that there was a time that the film sector was having difficulty even where to maybe even do their filming or have their meetings and so forth. But as Uganda National Cultural Center, we decided to work with you, and therefore you are our partners. We love you, and we know that you're doing a good job. Even with the little resources that you talked about, you are still producing. We have hosted a number of you here, and a number of you here have been able to produce films, and at the end of the day, you've used our theater here to be able to launch them, and we want to thank you. And a lot of you have already won some awards, both local and international, and we see that as important to the sector. I don't want to say a lot, but I want to just say that I'm very happy with UNATCOM for having chosen this and for having chosen that these people need to be trained and also to be trained here. This is our home, and definitely when you get trained here, we are happy. Director, there are many issues that affect this sector specifically. I know that as a ministry, you've already started on it. There was a time that these people asked to have a film commission. I know you're working on it. I also know that as UNCC, we have been saying that these sectors and so forth need to be financed. I know a lot of issues have been done in this area. But for us, as I would like to say, I want to thank the organizers, and especially for UNATCOM, because we may want to say we want money. We want, to have an association. We want this. But the question that somebody will ask which normally ask is that, what skills do you have? What knowledge do you have? Do you have the right attitudes? And I think this is what we are coming to deal with. So we need to see that we have the right knowledge, we have the right skills, we have the right attitude, because the equipments you can buy from the shops. But some of these things that I'm talking about, knowledge, skills, attitude, you cannot buy them. And I'm glad that this has come so that you are able to do quality productions. Because internationally, they want to buy quality. You put your things in the YouTube, when it doesn't meet the standard, it is pulled down. And therefore, we need quality. And I think that's what we are talking about. Those are the things that, as UNCC and as the director here, I will talk about and want to encourage you to be able to listen to the facilitators, listen to the discussions, and so that you're able to sharpen your knowledge, your skills. You're already there, but just sharpening a bit so that you can be world class. With those few remarks, I want to take this opportunity to welcome my senior. She is a director here, she's a board member, and also she happens to also be a director in the ministry and responsible for our sector. Director Juliana, we want to welcome you to come and say a few remarks and officially open. Can we have the, I want to, yeah.
Thank you. Good morning to all of you. How are you? Thank you. The Deputy Secretary General, Uganda National Commission for UNESCO, Dominic Mondrugo Ogo Lali Venture, the Executive Director, Uganda National Cultural Center, Mr. Peter Francis Ojede, our consultant, Mr. Amos Tindiewa, the Program Officer for Culture, Mr. Daniel Kawesi, all the film stakeholders here, producers, actors, publishers, exhibitors, distributors, all the staff of Uganda National Cultural Center, the media, ladies and gentlemen. I am called Naumo Juliana Akorio, Director for Gender and Community Development ad interim in the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development. I'm glad to see all of you today. Before I make my remarks, I would like to just summarize a few or all of the questions that you said. Of course, we are aware the consultant has answered some, and Peter Ojede has answered others. And I know that in our culture sector, and especially in the film sector, there are so many challenges. Now, when you have so many challenges, you need to learn to prioritize. What is it that you want to do first? And what is it that you want to do that will bring a very big change in our sector? And what is it that you want to do that will be able to impact effectively and efficiently on the lives of the people in the film sector, as well as to the people with whom they stay and the community of Ugandans? And what is it that you want to do that is in line with our National Development Plan? Secondly, what is it that you want to do that is in line with the Social Development Sector Plan? So all the things we are mentioning, we are aware about them. But who of you has come out and say, out of all these many things that are facing the film sector. Let's do this one, it will help us. Is it structures you want for distributing your films? Is it capacity building that you need? Is it piracy that you want to fight? Is it money? I know the consultant here has highlighted that money is number one. And if money is number one, what is it that you want to do with that money? Nobody will give you money when you don't have a strategic plan, and a strategic plan picks out those strategies that you want to do first and has a greater impact. So what do you want to do? Is it the schools you want to set up? What is it? Out of all these many, I've listed them. The issue of the charging 500, the issue of tax exemption, the issue of copyright being not well catered for, the issues of funding, and all this. So everything, if we need to work together, let us pick out one thing, and then we say, once we do this, then we can follow with number 2, number 3, number 4, and then we shall move together. We cannot do everything. We can't. So in our film sector, what do we want? Is it equipment? And which equipment? Is it a structure? Is it a digital platform? Do we want to meet every time to teach ourselves about capacity building? And when we talk about capacity building, what do we want? So I request you and your leadership to sit down, get a team of a few people, maybe 2 people per guild, and identify your priorities, right? And then the government can be able to support. In 1 year, we do one strategic thing. In the next year, we do another. I would like to thank the consultant for highlighting everything about the film sector. Mr. Amos Tindiewa, we did the first mapping in 2009, and then we did the second in 2014. Now we've done 2 others in 2021 and in 2022. Would love to see the changes between 2009, 2014, 2021, and 2022. What are those changes? We needed a summary of that to help us. On Friday last week, I was with Absa Bank trying to lobby for the film sector, because the film sector for the last 3 years, the film and music are my priorities to ensure that we professionalize the 2 sectors. So I went to Absa Bank and said, Absa Bank, we need your support. And Absa Bank management asked me, what is the value of the film industry? So you, the experts, the owners, what is the value of this industry? The money is available. So what is the value of the film industry? Can someone tell me the value? Apart from the consultant. But the consultant may not also have done research in the value. He may know the number of people employed, the number of people who need money, but what is the overall value of this sector? Does anyone know? Yes. Again? Eh?
Contributes almost 90%.
Okay, yes.
So it is a very great value for the entire industry, regarding, defining the entire country.
Okay.
Its culture.
Okay, excellent. And that shows you that we need to continue to do more research. Amos, isn't it? Because we are saying 90% of the tourism sector, excellent, but what is the value? You must be able to say, in the whole country, we contribute 3.5% for the whole country in all the domains, music, fashion, visual arts, film. We contribute 3 to 3.5%. So out of that percentage, what are you contributing the film? Is it 1%? Is it 2% of the 3%? Or is it all the 3.5%? You get it? And they were ready to give us money, and we don't have that figure. But we are happy now that for the last year 2021 and now, we say let us narrow now to film and see the numbers of people employed in film, and let us see the contribution of film to the industry and how many enterprises. So I would like to encourage us, again, like the consultant said, can we make ourselves better structured? I've been advising many of you. I said, you know what? You need to have something like, many people now support NGOs, yeah? They support NGOs than the private sector. You are in the private sector. And recently, again, the artists don't even want to come and get free information. This is a call of International Fund for Cultural Diversity, where there is funding, which Amos talked about. I invited over 500 artists in film and all the other domains. Can someone guess how many people attended that training? We invited, we called, we emailed, we did everything to say, please attend, there is funding, let us teach you how you can apply. Out of 500 people, can someone guess how many people attended? You can't, of course. 20 out of 500. And yet we are saying we need money. And there was a call for money, and it has been running since 2015 when we ratified. And one of the reasons why we ratified this convention on cultural diversity was because of that funding. We knew the artists will need funding, and therefore, let's put it out and become members of UNESCO. Now, in this call, they don't support private sector because private sector the world over has not contributed towards that convention. So the money we get from any donor is contributed by somebody. So for this convention of promotion and protection of the diversity of cultural expressions, it is governments, it is NGOs that are contributing. And therefore, you must have an NGO kind of status to benefit. Private sector cannot, until, I want to put that disclaimer, until that point that the private sector, from either within Uganda or from other countries, the philanthropists put in money, then the private sector can. So I've been encouraging you that please, can you have an association which is not private sector led, which can get this support? And we are available. The Ministry of Gender can help you to write a proposal. Me, I've written very many proposals which have gotten funding. So if you give me your priority, I'm aware that there is a call coming in July under Ignite Culture, which happened again last year. So if you could work quickly around what your priorities are, me and the UNESCO UNATCOM team can help you get a winning proposal, but to support one great aspect that can push your sector. You cannot do everything. So I can't answer all your questions. We take them in good faith, and those which are not directly under my ministry, we shall always follow up with the other government agencies. For example, this issue of 500. Someone will say, okay, fine, it's 500. How many people, how many films, how much have you lost? I don't have that information. So if you could give us the information, then we'll be able to speak authoritatively on your behalf. We are together in this. Government works for its people. So anything we do is for you, it's not for me. I'm supposed to work for you, and then you are also supposed to support me by providing the information that I need, then we can be able to move together. So we'd like to appreciate all your comments, and thank you, consultant, for that excellent research. I am still waiting for that summary so that I can see whether there are any changes. And of course, I know if there are changes, negatively, it could be because of COVID. And then we would continue to work towards addressing them in the next year. Uganda National Commission for UNESCO, I would like to appreciate you for organizing this capacity building activity for the film people. I remember we always work hand in hand with the program officer culture. This year the support is towards the aspect of intangible cultural heritage. The following year we look at tangible heritage. So we alternate like that. So we are happy, Daniel, that you picked up the issue of training the artists, especially in the film sector. And I was highlighting that this year is for intangible, next year it will be for tangible. Again, because we cannot do all at the same time. So thank you very much. Thank you for your time. And I know out of this one day we shall be able to move very fast. I would like just to summarize now what I had written down here. To say, one, we welcome you again to this training organized by Uganda National Commission for UNESCO for film stakeholders from Central Region with a view of enhancing the local content for this country in the area of film. We are aware that cinema, among other domains in Uganda, is responsible for one, communication. We can use it to communicate, to educate, to create cultural exchange and human development overall. And what is important for us now is to know the relationship between the production films and the cultural values of our country. And I know that we have many stories to tell. As the facilitators before me have mentioned, what is the value that we are picking out from our culture. So we believe that we need not pay a blind eye to the realities in our country. As we speak now, we are moving together with other stakeholders on the parish development model. What is there for us in the film sector to contribute in view of government's policy now, which is the parish development model, and that is the reality now. So we need to move with the time and ensure that whatever we do should be aligned in that direction. And there is a lot you can contribute. We know that the language of cinema and film should be translated according to any society's culture, and therefore the film products should focus on the inner and the spiritual values of human beings instead of addressing the external beauty of human beings. Ladies and gentlemen, the rich cultures of the people of Uganda speak volumes of our rich cultural resource that the country possesses, and we believe this is not fully exploited to its maximum to drive our country to a middle income status. Our distinctive cultural resources, ranging from traditional arts and crafts, values, beliefs, and historical heritage sites like archaeological sites located in all regions of the country, are some of the cherished cultural resources that we need to harness, we need to protect, and we need to promote through our films so that we can get revenue, income, and employment for our people. Apart from this rich traditional heritage, we are also aware of industrialization of culture and a culturalization of the industry, which is bringing new forms of cultural goods and services in the market. So government is committed to ensuring that cultural trade within the region and internationally is met through the implementation of cultural agreement. As I speak now, there are some artists whom we sent to Ethiopia to participate in a cultural festival. And I can also say proudly, come September, we are also going to have another cultural festival which will take place in Burundi on what we call Jama Fest. Jama Fest is an abbreviation for a Kiswahili word or words that mean Jumuiya ya Afrika Mashariki Utamaduni. This is a festival where all aspects of culture are supposed to exhibit their products, including film. And I'm happy that in the last Jama Fest in the United Republic of Tanzania, we had the film sector very well represented. So thank you, film sector. Continue and push, lobby, and participate in all these activities. I would like to say that with the onset of globalization and technological advancement, traditional nation states have been put under enormous pressure. Information is transcending geographical boundaries and reshaping our cultural diversity of the various communities in the country. Technology, therefore, has made development of our cultural products like music, film, television, radio, animation, books, to mention a few, very, very able to reach other communities. However, it's also a threat to our cherished cultural values, which cannot be ignored, especially as we create cultural meanings. We should be wary of this as we do whatever we are doing. The ministry, in line with this, developed a communication strategy on norms and values for young people, as well as parenting guidelines, which is already being rolled out in the country. Our national culture policy is almost ready for cabinet. And in this culture policy, we've now separated film away from the creative industry broadly. Because in the old policy, in the earlier policy of 2006, we said culture and creative industry broadly, and the interventions were broad. So now we have picked it out, and so your intervention should be able to come out clearly. So this policy is the one which will shape the laws, the programs and guidelines for the film industry. And I'm aware of what the consultant mentioned in terms of the structure that he highlighted. So let's get the policy out first. That is the procedure of government. You can't do everything at a go. One time, around 2005, Daniel will bear witness with me, we had 7 conventions, the Deputy Secretary General. So we wanted to ratify all of them. They call them omnibus, 7. We took all of them to cabinet, and cabinet said, no, you can't, just pick one and move with it. So we picked the one for 2003, which is on intangible cultural heritage. We ratified, and we are doing very, very well on that convention in terms of financing, in terms of reporting, in terms of supporting CSOs, civil society organizations, and all that. Then we followed up with this convention now, the 2005 convention, which is the Convention on the Protection and Promotion of the Diversity of Cultural Expressions. And in this one, we've also been able to submit our first report. You report on it, on all the articles, every 4 years. So in 2020, despite COVID, we sat down and developed our report. As I speak, Daniel, for information for you and the Deputy Secretary General, we've been able to disseminate our quadriennial report to over 50 districts. And as I speak now, Nalubega, Ajara, and Cecilia are going to 4 regions to disseminate that report, to raise awareness, but also ask the district local governments to contribute more measures that we may not have captured. So that convention, both conventions give us financing. And for this one of 2005, the financing call just ended on the 17th last week of June. Now, as a ministry, we are willing and are still working to ensure the strengthening of the film sector. We are still carrying out lobbying. We have carried out the mapping of the culture sector to develop a culture management system. And so we've been again asking you people, give us the associations. We want to train the associations in this culture management system, because the system is going to be picking district, by sex, by domain, by age, by type of film category, and so forth. So all that information is going to be passed out to you people. It is part of the structure, because without information about the numbers, the challenges you have, it becomes difficult for us to plan for you. So this culture management system is supposed to help us to know the numbers of people by age group and all that kind of information. So we've reached out to some of your leaders. So if you know of any other associations that you think we may not have captured, even if you might know that we have captured, just if you know any, for the whole country, the training is going to take place on Thursday and Friday, online, for the leaders of the associations. Like I said, you can't reach everybody. So we expect the leaders to learn from that training and pass on the training to the members of the associations. So give us those associations and we invite them to participate in that. And we are also working towards still having another activity for sustaining the measures from a project. Again, like I said, film has been my passion for the last 3 years. In that intervention, we developed the Film Chivanda Express. We developed a digital database, which is going to show us how many people are in the film sector, how many ladies, and so forth, which is a smaller version of the culture management system. Because the culture management system now looks at all the other domains. It looks at visual arts, it looks at books, it looks at film, it looks at natural and cultural heritage, it looks at creative design. So it's huge. But this digital database is purely on film. And in other countries, as you know, every month they produce statistics about the film sector or about any other sector, which we don't have. So we want you to become the lead in terms of giving us those statistics compared to all the other domains. So that was the second. And then we developed also a report for the whole project. We went to all the regions in the country to consult them what are their issues. Like he has said, the same issues came up. And so that report is ready and we can always share with you. We shall use this list to send you a soft copy of that report. Then finally, one of the results was that there are measures that you people wanted, you in plural. You wanted measures to do with one, capacity building. We are happy now we are doing this, but we need to be consistent. And then capacity building in what areas? 2, you needed support in having a production hub so that we subsidize all the equipment that you hire very expensively. They are not even available. So if the production hub could be there, it could also help in supporting many of the interventions that you people want. And we found that the production hub is very, very expensive, and we thought we should put emphasis there and get you that support. So we are organizing a meeting on the 27th of July to raise more awareness about what we did in that first project, because it was happening during COVID. So that we raise awareness, you see the measures and we see the benefits, and people are going to pronounce themselves on how they are going to sustain the film sector. So some of you will be invited because the spaces are limited. Some of you will be invited to that event on the 27th July in Kampala. And from there on, we shall be able to have our sector moving systematically. There are already indications of people willing to have the sector being more sustainable and viable. So with these remarks, I wish to welcome you again to this activity. I wish to thank you for your time, to thank you for your contributions, to thank the Deputy Secretary General, UNATCOM, the ED, Uganda National Cultural Center, our consultant Amos Tindiewa, the Program Officer for Culture, UNATCOM, and the staff of UNCC for being with us today. And we wish you very good deliberations in this capacity building activity. I now officially open this capacity building workshop and wish you the best for God and my country.
Thank you very much. Daniel, I think any administrative...
Yes, I think now, thank you Dominic, thank you everyone. Our guest, I think it's time now to go for our tea break. It's behind this building.
So we'll ask the chief guest to lead us there.
Let's take a maximum of 15 minutes, then we'll get back.
And then, of course, with the host, the guiding
our facilitator, the consultant, and then the rest of us will follow.